to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Van. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Superintendent Wandry, for a little special announcement.
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate the opportunity to address the board this evening. It's been a difficult few days for the Lapeer Schools family with the sudden loss of one of our elementary special education teachers, Roxanne Johnson, yesterday morning on the way into work in that tragic accident on M24. It's been quite a challenge. My team and I, the majority of us, spent the entire day at Turtle yesterday. The opportunity to interact with the staff, the students, just kind of gauge how things were going in the midst of crafting our communications for the school district and the community. We felt it very important that we be, kind of boots on the ground and be able to assess situation firsthand. I can report that a ton of social emotional support has been made available, pouring in from outside county agencies. Retired staff have called to pitch in. All of our neighboring districts, the ISD, all of whom reached out to just lend their support whatever we needed. We have an ongoing support plan that's going to continue for the remainder of the week and however long it's needed. Social workers, school psychologists, counselors, support staff from other buildings kind of pouring in on an as-needed basis. We had some Colts support available today as well at the building to kind of gauge and monitor how things are going. I was able to address the entire staff after school yesterday. I can just tell you, and some of this was reflected in my email message to the entire school community, but oftentimes tragedy reveals character as much as it requires it, and the board can stand to be very proud of the entire Turtle staff, parapros, secretaries, counselors, learning coaches, teachers, the social emotional special education staff that was on hand, principal leadership. It was really remarkable. If you would have walked into Turtle yesterday not knowing what had happened, you would have assumed it was a normal elementary school day like any other. And that is a true testament to the professionalism and the courage, fortitude of those educators, many of whom have worked with Roxanne for decades. To hear the news of the loss of a friend, not have the option of just checking out for the rest of the day or going home, but having to go back and have a bunch of kids looking at you for guidance and leadership. So we're just very pleased about that. We've had a lot of inquiries about gifts, foods, donation, all the types of things. We're going to have information tomorrow. We're going to communicate with the entire community. Those efforts are going to be coordinated by some of the Turtle staff members, so we'll have phone numbers, email addresses, and direction for folks that want to do that. Also, the funeral arrangements have been made. That's on our district. We'll be on our district website, Facebook page, and we'll communicate that publicly as well. So I'd like to take a moment, just at the beginning of the meeting, to recognize the life of Roxanne Johnson, a long-time dedicated Lapeer educator and someone who's going to be sorely missed. So if you just join me in a moment of silent prayer, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I guess I'll keep it going if you,
Yes,
if you prefer that, Madam President. Thank you. On to the business of our school district. We are so pleased this evening to introduce our representatives from Lapeer High School to present on goal number 1, benchmark 1-2B. So at this time, I'll introduce our high school principal, Dr. Jason Larson. Jason.
President Putnam, members of the board, Superintendent Wandry, members of the Central Office Leadership Team, and Mrs. Moss, I'd like to thank you so much for welcoming us here tonight. The last time I was here speaking, I was thanking you for appointing me to the position that I'm in now. Today I enter as a proud principal of Lapeer High School and proud to show off and talk about the things that we're doing at Lapeer High School. I'd I'd like to thank our administrative team, Mrs. Caparucio, Mr. Wenzel, Mr. Green, and also our Lapeer Police Department SRO Officer Wetzel for helping to direct and to keep our schools safe and strong.
Use the keys to the keyboard.
Just use the arrow key.
Okay. Arrow keys.
Thank you.
There you
I love the new setup, by the way.
go.
New technology.
Couple glitches, yeah.
You'll notice that on the board agenda and also in our objective here, the objective of tonight's presentation is to show the growth in leadership development for all students at Lapeer High School. One of the questions I had when I interviewed to become the principal at Lapeer High School was, what did it look like? What would a senior student look like when they graduated from Lapeer? What could they expect from Lapeer High School? And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought of all the different types of students that go through Lapeer High School. And I said, the best thing that we can do is have an 18-year-old have the best gauge for an 18-year-old, for a 47-year-old, of what they want to do when they grow up, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how to play to their strengths. But also to have an idea of not only what they're good at and what they should go into, but also what they don't want to go into, which is almost as important as knowing what you want to go into. You'll notice when I speak about our team too, it is a team approach. We call ourselves the home team. Anyone in that building, we're the home team. If it's another school, when we have 600 students from Zemmer come over, they're part of the home team. You're part of our family. It's the idea that we're one town, one high school, one group, one family, and we take care of each other. So when we have a football game, we got to be the home team tonight. You got to represent Lapeer well. You have to represent your family well, represent the city of Lapeer well, and we think that way about every decision we make. What's best for our people? What's best for the home team? We focus on growth and stepping up and stepping forward. You'll look with the board goals here. Today we're going to talk a lot about the programs we offer, which are the best thing about Lapeer High School besides our people. The programs that are offered, the curriculum that's offered, the focus on the whole child makes the difference for Lapeer. And when families from other districts talk to me, when we have, say, a visit with the Chatfield School, parents say, why go to Lapeer? I can sell them not only on our people, but definitely on our programs. We have three components of that, and that's academic opportunities, our development of leaders. Everyone can be a leader. They're going to be a leader in their field, and to build strong citizens that come out of our high school. Our focus is also on high rigor, relevance, and relationship. We look at that as academic opportunity and the development of leaders for now and in the future. Again, we want to build strong citizens and citizens that are moving forward with a plan, because many of our students will stay here in Lapeer. So an investment in our students through the programs that we have, through the coaching that we have growing up, through the opportunities that Deontay and I will talk about, builds a stronger school district, builds a stronger city and area of Lapeer County. We've done some things this year that have been very impressive, and that do help with taking care of the whole student. One of the things that we've done is through a partnership. Michelle and I have worked quite a bit through the whole year with the Lapeer County ISD. Our EdTech program didn't offer, they're called cross paths or crosswalks between what the students learn in the technical program and academic skills that they can use in real life math, real life science, and how that relates to our curriculum at Lapeer High School. We've been able to make some major progress where our students can earn math and science credit doing the trade that they choose. And I think that's very important, not only for the students themselves, it's also showing the value in technical education And one of the things I'm not joking when I say it, the best people I know at arithmetic are carpenters. They can do it on a 2x4, 60 feet in the air, not in a classroom at a desk. So giving credit where credit is due. We've also done an extensive PD this year, professional development, on healthy grading, making sure our grades show what students know, and not only what they know, but that they can demonstrate the skill. It's a real-world application. We also made several connections in the community and beyond. One of the bright points that we've done, Deontay and I traveled to Detroit to build a partnership with the Carpenters and Millwrights Council. Those are great jobs that fit many of our students. We have programs that are for high academic achievers. We have so many supports for our students who need the most help. And our gap in the middle of students who maybe might not be sure what they want to do, or might not even know what a millwright is, until we walk them there, show them. Deontay took a group of students there. We're working on building a partnership closer to Lapeer. But also, once they find out what a millwright does, or a carpenter does, and the training that they can get, the apprenticeships that they can get while they're young, and that the education is paid for, we're building, again, a stronger student and a stronger Lapeer. We have a number of formal leadership groups in our school. We have class councils, the Omni Student Council, Key Club, our Links program. We have a Links program that pairs special education students with general education students, and it opens doors, it opens eyes. We even had one student this year who decided she wanted to become a special education student, or a special education teacher in the future because of the Links program. We have Grow to Glow, where our young ladies mentor young ladies at the middle level. We also have a leadership class that's on the books to be run next year in 25-26, where we can, again, keep teaching the lessons of leadership. And it's functional leadership, it's servant leadership, it's taking care of the home team kind of leadership. We have captains' councils for athletic teams, and many mentoring programs for our teachers and also for our athletic coaches. We believe that getting kids connected to the school helps the whole person, and again, helps students find out who they are. I know this from my own daughter when she went through high school. She did the usual pass, the sports teams. She liked it. She found her love in what she's doing now through a video productions class at her high school. You never know where people are going to find their passion. And she found it in video production and in TV production. Again, we're a big believer on helping students find their strengths and playing to their strengths. We all have things that we know that we are great at. And we also have things we know we need work on. But having people accent and accentuate what they are good at and teaching them that there is a position out there in the future that goes with that, or this is how you can use it now in high school, will lead to our successful students. One event that I'm very proud of, going with our leadership theme, was the MASSP, that's the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, a group that I'm a part of, was a board member of. I'm also running for president of the organization next month. This group leaders in education, in not only administrative roles, but in teaching roles. You'll see one of our teachers there. You'll see Robin Caparucio, an assistant principal. You'll also see Addison Seiferle with me here, and also Maya McKenna. They're going to talk a little bit about what they learned, but the whole object of this leadership summit was to develop the capacity to inspire, to connect, and to empower women leaders. So I thought, what better way to talk about what they learned in their activities there than to bring Addison and Maya up with me today. Are you ready?
So when I attended the conference, I went to a presentation that was on mental toughness and like women's sports. And the speaker kind of described like her experience with facing mental blocks as a female athlete. So she kind of told us what she had to overcome in order to gain like a good mental toughness. And she told us she did this by acknowledging like the things that she found had an influence on her mindset. So whether that was like controllable things or uncontrollable things. So she gave us like a few examples of things in her own life that kind of had an influence on her mindset. And then she had us like break off into groups and think of things in our own life that had an impact in on our mindset. And then we kind of like discussed this with like the peers and the chaperones around us, and we kind of compared, contrasted between each other. And then we came back as a big group, and she kind of told us how we can't let the things that are incontrollable take like full control over our mindset, and we have to like focus on the things that are controllable. And like her presentation really helped guide me in like leading my teams, my sports teams, my school teams, and like having a good mental toughness and mindset when leading them.
A big thing that I learned is a lot about myself and how I become a team leader and just an individual leader altogether. Being around other leaders that have the same goals as me and all that have like natural leadership just from sports or school or anything, just being around that, learning what they know, what they've used, everything. I also learned many skills, not only about being a friend, but just being a listener, being open to anyone, teammates, classmates, anyone who just needs an ear to listen to. A quote that I learned at the summit that I heard from one of the presenters was, be the leader you would follow yourself. So what I learned from that is, if you're not going to follow yourself, why would anybody else follow you? So I kind of go by that motto every day.
Thank you both. Both of these young ladies are some of the strongest leaders in Lapeer High School, and that is one of the reasons that they were selected to go. They display the traits that we look for in our students. They've also taken full advantage of all the opportunities that they have at Lapeer High School with not only dual enrollment, but AP classes, and pushing themselves in extracurriculars. Both have been leaders on the teams that they're on, and they're leaders in the classroom. If we could clone them and keep them at Lapeer High School for the next 100 years, Lapeer High School would be much better off.
And their parents want them around for that long as well.
I also have brought with us to the presentation today Deontay Grimes to talk about career and technical education partnerships that we have built at Lapeer High School.
Hello, everyone. So I'm not going to take a lot of time. I was asked yesterday by Dr. Larson to go over a few of the leadership opportunities and different things that we are currently doing. So throughout the year, we do a lot of different opportunities and leadership activities, and just a few of the ones that we're currently working on. So as of right now, he spoke about our millwright and carpenter partnership. I have 2 students testing currently to become a millwright and one a carpenter. I have 6 students currently in the industry at Cypress, at H&H, at 3D, so on and so forth, warranty tool. So those are just some of the opportunities. When it comes to leadership, I have my students take the forefront. I kind of step back on a lot of things. So as you all know, we get funding throughout the year, and we need new equipment, we need to source stuff. All I do is tell the students, give me quotes. Source it, find the layouts. Footprint is a huge part of our setup. If we need new equipment, we have to find a spot for that to go. They have to create the layout. They have to source all of the components. They have to be able to make sure it is within our budget, it is within our constraints, everything like that. Then I will compare what they got with what I can do, and then kind of show them the different research areas that they can work on. Another thing that we've worked on recently is resume creation. So with their, with their current certifications and skills that they have acquired throughout this program, each of our students had to create their own resume, and we would go through and kind of fine-tune everything, and April can speak to what the resume looks like.
It was amazing.
Yeah, we have a lot of great things going. Another thing we like to focus on is our youth camps. So we are doing a STEM camp at every elementary school. We went to Lynch already for their career day, And so I'm working with Shannon Webb and the principals at Murphy, Schickler, and Turl to get our students over there to set up our robotics trailer and do a STEM camp. All I'm doing is coordinating the dates and times for us to be there. They are taking lead on all of the activities, all of the coordination that takes place. Obviously, if there's any intricate details that have to be handled, then I'll jump in, but they take lead on the whole thing. I don't have anything to do with it. I let them run away. Also, last year we were invited to IMTS to have a small group. So for those of you who don't know, IMTS is a big international trade show that is hosted once every 2 years. And then Automate is hosted the other year. We were asked to come down and set up a booth so that we can show some of the stuff that we're doing in our program. Sadly, we couldn't go last year because that was the same time as our testing, so final exams. But this year, we're trying to make sure that we can schedule a booth down there. It's May 12th through the 16th, I believe. We're trying to get a booth down there so that they can show off the newest innovations that we have. Like I said, we have a new robot on the way currently. We have a lot of new equipment. Last but not least, I have a small group, when I say small, 7 students, that are entrepreneurs. And they are currently working on a business venture that they want to jump into. I cannot get into too many details.
Because you said in that disclosure.
Because they are working on a business venture that includes robots and baked goods and fun stuff, right? And they are trying to turn it into a real business. So they are working on zoning requirements. They are looking into leasing equipment. They are, everything. They are looking into funding the whole 9 yards because they want this to become a real thing. And I want this for them. So those are just a few of the opportunities and leadership things that we are discussing currently. And if you guys have any interest throughout the year to stop on by, feel free.
Highly recommend that. Stop in the classroom.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, everybody.
Is it to stop by and see it or to taste it?
All of the above.
Robots and baked goods are two of Mr. Wandry's favorite things.
Never thought I'd put the two together.
And Mr. Grimes is really just a jewel to our district too. He's an ultimate professional. He works in industry and educates students. So they're not getting things out of a book that's 5 years old. They're getting today's knowledge, which is crucial for our students. The way things change so fast in the world today, he's on top of it. Some districts have STEM programs and it's kind of just a boilerplate they stick up. But we have real STEM. We have real world application that leads to real jobs, that leads to real businesses, and real impact for our students. The next steps for Lapeer High School. The biggest one is a successful transition to a grade 9-12 building. And to bring our 9th graders in, and really we're flipping over half the school next year. But bring them in, teach them the ways of the home team, but also as 9th graders as fast as they can. And they've been working on their way up. But get them into the idea of what I do today matters for tomorrow. And also to start, again, looking for those strengths that they can use in the future. We also are looking at a continued push to increase the career pathways. Again, make the education that students get rigorous, but also relevant to what they're interested in, and also to build the relationships with them so that they raise their own kids here in Lapeer someday and send them to our school. I'd like to thank you tonight for having us in, and also we're around. Please feel free to ask questions or give ideas on how we can make it better. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
So, Deontay, my daughter is working with him in mini sports, and I know she just gave me an example of a student, very relative, but it was so cute how these kids are even working with their point system to get it high enough in the day so they can attend their practice, and it's a behavior student, and they're trying so hard and like not letting kids affect them because they're like, no, I gotta make it to practice, I gotta get to practice. So I just think it's awesome what you're doing. I have some resources, I think, for the entrepreneurship thing too. I just listened to Nick Custer from U of M Flint yesterday that has a bunch of workshops that are coming out for students that are free in that area. So get with me and I'll send you all that information. But just very happy to hear all the things that are going on. It's so awesome.
If you get a chance to, you have to see the esports lab.
I've heard all about it, trust me. And the grant that went with it, so I'm impressed by that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
One of the interesting things about esports that I learned from the Principals Association, because they sponsor a league, the biggest league in Michigan, was that 67% of kids that play esports, that is their only school activity that they do. So we're pulling in more kids into staying at school longer, being around trusted adults and mentors.
Yeah, I think what Mary was saying about it, the article she read that was keeping attendance. It's helping with attendance for kids.
So Kettering has such a huge esports. Can we do some sort of collaboration with them?
So we're actually, I have not reached out to Kettering, but I'm talking with Lawrence Tech and DCC. So DCC has this event that they host every year in their gym, similar to our assembly duel for wrestling. They have this big event that they have these monitors and everything set up in the middle of their gym, and they invite an outside school to come in and compete against them in Rocket League or whatever it is. So we have some things.
That sounds awesome.
My daughter helped connection with Kettering because they're super close too.
So Kylie actually gets a higher scholarship per year from Northwood University for playing esports than even Brandon got playing college football. Like triple. I'll just give you an amount, triple.
Wow.
So I'm just saying, it is
The highest
a huge, these companies have money and they need people. And so I don't think we realize too the scholarship opportunities for these kids.
So it's really funny that you mentioned that because our football program recently hosted a recruiting night for 4th and 7th grade kids to talk about what the future in LHS athletics looks like, but particularly football. And one of the coaches spoke exactly to that. And there was parents involved as well. So we presented to Jason and I were part of that group that presented, and the dad, this coach, very frankly to a bunch of parents, and I know we're all thinking that our kid's going to be a starting quarterback in the 4A in Michigan, but just so you know, there's about 10 times the amount of money available for academic related scholarships than there are for athletics. So make sure your kid's a great student and focus on the opportunities academically that are going to end up paying tuition much higher likelihood than athletic scholarships. That's a very relevant point.
And I forgot to say this quote. One of the favorite things I taught when I started teaching, somebody said, be the teacher you enjoy and learn best from. So that's just great advice that they gave you with that quote. It is so true. Be who you can relate with.
I have something to say as well. As a parent of 2 students who went through the CTE program with Deontay, I would like to thank the board. I know that this was probably prior to most of us that were on the board, but also to Superintendent Wandry and the Colt team in their wisdom for funding this innovative CTE program and all of the work that went into finding the grants for these, for the robots and for all the machinery and for finding this man right here.
For the record, none of them wanted to hire Deontay, and I said, absolutely. This guy is great. So
I said, we need a free win
yeah, I think
to bring him on board.
might have been
Well, I'm super grateful because my oldest son, who is in the pilot program of it, not college material, and was able to have a segue into the automotive field, and he now works at American Axle. And then my son, who is a senior, who is in your class, who had the amazing resume that I thought, what in the, all of the different, like all the certificates that he's got, you are giving these kids so much. And I am so grateful. And he's going to be going to, entering Saginaw Valley State University for the mechanical engineering program. And my husband was a mechanical engineer, and he was so excited because we had planned on meeting you. We had the date, we had to postpone, and then that date never happened, as it is that my husband passed away. But I was so grateful that your leadership and your your personality was so welcoming to my boys who had that as an engineering mindset, me not so much, but the fact that you kind of stepped in and were a father figure to them in a way, Deontay, and there's not enough words that I can thank you for that, and for all of the kids that, you know, aren't necessarily college material, the skills that they are learning in your classroom. You are giving them a way to, as Dr. Larson said, you know, help stay in Lapeer, build a better Lapeer, stay here, and I'm just very grateful. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I would just say, Deontay, what I think that you do remarkably well is you also personally don't take no, right? You find a way to make a yes happen. And you figure out how to let the kids absorb that. I mean, it's just like a natural thing. So you take everything from the industry, which our kids need, and you bring that, and you keep bringing that. So, I mean, we need that. What you're doing, we need it. We need to clone people. We need to clone.
We're working on it in the classroom.
That was perfect.
Jason just wrote down, invite Deontay every year.
Yeah. Like everywhere.
I do have a question. So, Abby, I remembered your volleyball team, right? So, Tessa and Kevin used to have the students read a book called Mental Toughness, right? Did you guys read that?
I never read it because I think Maya read it. Because Maya was on the team that year that they read it.
Oh, okay. So I just wondered, like, did you take from that book what you learned out of this conference that you went to? Like, could you connect a lot from that book?
Yeah, because I went to the same one she attended, the mental toughness one, and it was pretty much just like the book. But the book was called Mind Gym, and it was just how like athletes struggle with mental toughness and everything. And honestly, helped more because I knew the basics of it.
I mean, I think that's a great book for athletes to have, like, as a,
It's
you
a
know,
really
at
relatable
least
book.
once through their, career as a high school athlete. But I just wondered how much, I mean, because I read the book too, because I just thought, oh, this is a good book. There's a lot of things that take away, so I just wondered if you saw a good connection between that book and the contents. That's good.
One of the unsung things that Addison, when I first met her, and you got a shipment of jerseys in for volleyball. They just came, there were blue jerseys, there were white jerseys, and before, like, we even had them, like, did we sign for those boxes? Addison already had them all organized by color, size, number. And I called Kim and I said, wow, someone's like your mother.
She gets it from her father. She gets her organizational skills.
She also took it upon herself. Again, no, I don't want to embarrass you. We needed very accurate and detailed stats. Volleyball is a sport that the ball is moving fast and a lot of things happen. She took it on herself also to be the stat keeper for the team. By not only, she's playing in the game, she couldn't hit a ball and then write down who has to kill or whatnot. But she'd review the film and do the stats from film for our varsity program. And that's something that probably no one knows.
Why didn't you tell me that, Kim?
Okay.
I mean, we appreciate such two remarkable
Yes.
leaders to come and present to us tonight. We appreciate you ladies. We know we're intimidating. So, we really appreciate it, and we like, keep leading our young students to be strong, independent leaders like yourselves.
I just want to make one comment. Deontay, great job. Ladies, great job. I want to say, Doc, way to buy in already. You know what I mean? You're new. I feel like you bought in 110% already out of the gate. And you're here for good, and you drank the juice, and now you're passing it out to everybody else, and it works. And we appreciate that, because obviously we like great leaders. We got some here, and it's great to see. So thank you for that. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Anything?
No, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
You stepped right in when I wasn't finished, but you
Perfect.
filled my words exactly. Okay, with that, I think the next is public comment, but I don't see any public comments for this evening. So we will head right into our reports with our policy committee. So Dr. Novak, would you please share us the policy committee report?
Yes, we met on via Zoom at 12 p.m. on February 21st. We discussed the following policies, policy /AG 9150 school visitors, as a follow-up from the district-wide safety and security assessment that was done at all district buildings in the fall of 2023. Updates were made to board policy 9150, school visitor policy, and an administrative guideline, which we refer to as AG, was created. The policy has a slight change to add language that references the screening process for visiting school buildings while students are in session, including guidelines for the use of the new visitor management process, Raptor. Joe would discuss the implementation timeline for Raptor. March 3rd, 2025, LHS, Summer, Rowan Warner, and CFI. May 5th would be Murphy, Schiffler, Turtle, and Lynch. And September of 2025 would be LVP, Peer Virtual Partnership. And then we discussed policy 3120.09, volunteers. This policy has been updated to reflect language which references our new visitor management system, again, Raptor, and the volunteer application 3120.09 form. It was a consensus of the committee to recommend moving both board policies 9150 and 3120.09 forward for first reading at this board meeting, and our meeting adjourned at 1:30 p.m.
Okay. Do we have any questions or concerns? Thank you, Dr. Novak. With that, we will head right into our action items. So first is our consent grouping. So we have approval of board minutes of February 5th, 2025. First reading of board policies, policy 3120.09, volunteers, policy 9150, school visitors, and then we have some overnight field trips. So field trip requests for LHS, HOSA members to travel to our city, Michigan on April 17th through the 20th of 2025. Field trip requests for the 8th grade students to travel to Washington, D.C. on May 3rd through the 8th for 2026 for the 25-26 school year, and November 1st to the 6th, 2026 for the 26-27 school year. And then lastly, field trip requests for Lapeer High School girls and boys soccer players to travel to Strongville, Ohio on July 18th through the 20th and 25th through the 27th of 2025. Are there any action items that you wishes to remove from the consent grouping?
Make a motion that the reading of the minutes and the policies be waived and the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and support. Mr. Van Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBar?
Aye.
Dr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. Luca?
Aye.
Dr. Novak?
Aye.
Mrs. Butler says aye. Motion passes. And then we have, the next is the set the first day of school for the 25-26 school year, year-round July 28th of 2025, traditional August 25th, 2025.
I'll make a motion that the first day of the 2025-2026 school year be July 28th, 2025 for year-round, and August 25th, 2025 for traditional.
Support.
Okay. I have a motion and a support. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Van Wagner?
Aye.
Mrs. LeBar?
Aye.
Dr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. Luca?
Aye.
Dr. Novak?
Aye.
Ms. Collins says aye. Motion carries. So that concludes action items. We will go into board member topics.
I'm just wondering how things are going with the everything's going along well? No issues?
So far, everything's been going fine. Procurement of all materials is coming in well. Nothing to be concerned of as far as fire alarm or any HVAC equipment so far. So a lot of pre-planning to make sure we're ready for summer. Construction has started in the auditorium. We've done demo already, so we're working on that already.
Yeah, we got an update today, our K-12 meeting from the Barton Allen team. Very pleased with the progress. Obviously, always variables that impact it, but we talked about how important the timeline was for the completion of the projects because the first day of school hinges on it. So, Barton Allen team, school district team, we're all hands on deck right now. So far, so good.
I had the privilege of being invited to be a judge at the Murphy Elementary Spelling Bee on February 10th. There were 21 fifth graders, terrified, and they went through round 8, and the winning word was hydrophobia. And it was 2 young men, Xander and Brock, Xander was the first place and Brock was the backup in case Xander couldn't attend. It was full of anticipation, cheers, tears. It was so...
Why were you crying?
Cried
At that one.
At that one. It was a wonderful day, and we got to take part of, we got to do it in the new gymnasium, which I was very pleased to have that there and to see the beauty of the new build from the bond. And it was such a fun day, and I was very honored to have been asked to be a judge, and I can't wait till next year. And I don't know if I could have spelled hydrophobia. Those kids did amazing. It's amazing what they're able to spell and retain, and the rules are tough, and they were champs, all 21 of them. That's all I got.
I just want to make congratulations to Team 5460. They went 12-0 at their competition this past weekend. They got the Team Sustainability Award also. So they did a great job.
Awesome. I just want to thank Schickler for inviting me back again for another year of the spelling bee, being a judge. As April said, it's a hard time to be a judge. You gotta tell those poor kids they didn't spell it right. But what I like most is the first round, how nervous and how they continue to grow through the rounds and be more confident in themselves. Even though the kids misspell words, they're still gaining confidence as they're going through the rounds. So I always find that the most impressive, the growth they can go from. The first word they spell to me is crying, and by the second and third round, they're really strong and loud and confident. So I always am grateful to be invited, but it's always really an emotional event. Oh, yeah.
See, I told you.
It is, but I like it. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to you, Superintendent Wondry.
Thank you, Madam President. Just again, lots of work happening as we discussed last month relative to the 25-26 transition. As I mentioned last month, there's not a building that's untouched or unimpacted by this. So please see me for any updates. But right now, we're meeting on a weekly basis with principals to discuss things like staffing. Jason mentioned a few things relative to changes in grading that are happening. We're trying to develop some more universal practices that relate to things like grading and scheduling, so kids, as they matriculate through the system, and especially parents, can have a similar expectation of how those things are executed and administered. Big school districts often get accused for operating in islands, and there doesn't seem to be a good connectivity. Well, I don't think it's that bad. We have recognized there's a lot of things procedurally that we could do to have a greater level of connection between the buildings. So a family's experience, I don't like hearing things like, well, my kids are graded and assessed one way at Turl, it was completely different at Warren, and then we got to gear up for the high school because it's a whole different thing. So whether it's grading or scheduling, just some of the procedural things, we have to be able to guarantee that there's a commonality for the experience our families are having. And I'm just very pleased that our teachers, our administrators are very engaged in this work right now. I think think they recognize, just philosophically speaking, that makes a lot of sense. It's also important to note that teaching historically has been a very isolated profession, and you're kind of left to be an island unto yourself, and that's not necessarily the best way to do business organizationally. So imagine, if you will, every teacher in the district closing their door and doing whatever they wanted to from some of these administrative tasks. It could create complete chaos. So just being very intentional about having that discussion is step one. Michelle has done a great job leading our principals, our coaches, and bringing in some professional development to help marshal us through that program. It is a big mind shift. Grading is a very personal thing to a lot of our teachers, but I think they're beginning to recognize that we can't be doing it on our own. And we have to fit inside of a mechanism. So we're really moving very fast ahead in that direction. And then finally, just another note about Roxanne, just to urge everyone to continue to pray for that family, and please look for communication from the district about how you may be able to help the family moving forward. With that, I yield back the balance of my time, Madam President.